we ought to be talking about the real issue here, which is that we have a healthcare crisis in America caused by the Republicans. They've barreled us towards a shutdown because they don't want to deal with that crisis.
Yes, the psychopath, the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer. These people wouldn't know what it's like to not lie for a minute or two. There he is. They shut the government down. They say the Republicans shut the government down. The news media faithfully and dutifully says the Republicans shut the government down. Hey, but wait, every Republican except Rand Paul has voted 12 times to reopen the government. Every Democrat has voted to close the government, with the exception of a couple of Democrats on a scooter. But that's it. That's it. Well, a very good and happy Monday to you, and welcome back once again. I hope you had a great American weekend. So many great American things to do. Who is Tyler Robinson? Who is Tyler Robinson? Anybody know who is Tyler Robinson? I know it's getting harder and harder to keep track of the Democrat murderers and criminals. That's the assassin that shot and killed Charlie Kirk because apparently he disagreed with him on matters of Jesus and faith and church and America being a good place. The Democrats are not on our side, and they're on the side of murderers and killers. But Tyler Robinson, the man that shot and killed Charlie Kirk, he had what did he write on the bullets and the he's writing about ICE, and he's not on the side of America or civilization. But Tyler Robinson, who is a Democrat who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, does he have a transgender boyfriend who thinks he's his girlfriend? It's so hard to. I'm going to have to put up a tote board on the wall to keep track of all the Democrat assassins and murderers, political murderers. Tyler Robinson, accused of killing Charlie Kirk, he's asked a Utah judge to let him wear civilian clothes. He is in court because he didn't want to look like a prisoner or anything like that. And he's due in court today. The 3 p.m. court date, 3 p.m. Eastern time, I believe, court date for Tyler Robinson. And the Democrats, they cheer the assassination, they cheer the murder. We've seen them on college campuses and at gatherings everywhere, and at the No Kings rally with that school teacher woman putting a gun to her neck like she's shooting herself through the neck, and she's a school teacher. She ought to be gassed, but never mind that. The Democrats, they love the murderer, they love the assassin, and they hate everybody else. Kind of a funny thing. So Tyler Robinson, he's a Democrat, due in court today, the assassin of Charlie Kirk. And at the same time, when is Luigi Mangione due back in court? Because, the Democrats all love him. He assassinated the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, on the sidewalk in New York. And he is a downright hero of the Democrat Party because they love murder. It's one of the things they really like. Isn't that great? And at the same time, this is an important story. The Democratic Socialists of America are demanding the release of the person they call a political prisoner, Elias Rodriguez. Elias Rodriguez, of course, assassinated two people outside the Jewish Museum, a Jewish museum in Washington, D.C., Israeli embassy employees, and Elias Rodriguez assassinated these two people, and that's just fine with the Democrat Party because they're calling him a political prisoner now. The Democratic Socialists of America and the Democratic Socialists of America Liberation Caucus endorsing a statement put out calling for the release of the political prisoner who assassinated two Israeli embassy personnel outside of a Jewish museum in Washington, D.C., where an event was being held on behalf of the embassy because of the hostages being held in Israel and at the time and so on. And now the Democratic Socialists of America, the party of AOC, of Bernie Sanders, and, of course, of Zohran Mamdani in New York, they are calling for the release of the assassin of the two Jewish people, the Israeli embassy personnel, by Elias Rodriguez, and the Democratic Socialist America, again, Mamdani's party, Bernie Sanders' party, AOC's party. They all gathered this weekend to celebrate Mamdani because they love death and murder. They're the left, and they love killers because that's what the left does. So, honestly, Ayal Yacobi says, Zohran Mamdani's Democratic Socialists of America signed on to a statement calling to release Elias Rodriguez, the terrorist who executed 2 Jews in Washington, D.C. last spring, and the Democratic Socialist of America Liberation Caucus. They declare, excellent statement that we are proud to add our name to, free Elias Rodriguez and all political prisoners. See, here's the videotape of him shooting the 2 people outside the Jewish embassy, the Israeli embassy event at the Jewish Museum. Here's the videotape. And the Democratic Socialists of America, again, Adolf Hitler's party, the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, and they wrote, the Palestinian struggle is the tip of the spear against global imperialism. They're against global imperialism, as imperialism has made the entire world its battlefield. That means that the Democratic Socialists are making the entire world their battlefield. It is justified to fight it by any means necessary without regard for geography. This holds especially true for those of us struggling behind enemy lines inside the U.S. An entity that is an equal party in all crimes committed by the Zionists, the Jews, and Israel. They're with the Hamas and ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the Democrat Party. They're all in bed together, writhing around. Whether in the besieged Gaza Strip, the Red Sea, they are attacking ships in the Red Sea. They are doing that. The Houthis and so on. So they're with the Houthis, they're with Hamas. In South Lebanon, they're with Hezbollah. Or in the heart of the U.S., they're against the U.S. There must be consequences for genocidal Zionist imperialism, and those consequences are righteous. I believe that they're calling for war against the United States of America and for warlike conduct. And Elias Rodriguez, they're declaring to be a political prisoner. Make no mistake, this is the mainstream of the Democratic Party. This is the Democratic Party in 2025. Let's go to some audio, Michael. Let's go to soundbite number 1, where we don't normally start. But here's Zohran Mamdani, who he's fighting against imperialism and America and Zionism and the Jews, and his party is demanding the release of the political prisoner Elias Rodriguez. They call him a political prisoner. He's just a savage, genocidal, Jew-hating, Nazi fascist, and his party is all in bed with him. They love him. And here is Zohran Mamdani on Friday telling this ridiculous lie, just a ridiculous lie of a made-up story that the communist, fascist, Nazi Jew killer and lover of Jew killers, Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat nominee to become the mayor of New York City. Here he is on Friday. It turns out this whole story is made up about his aunt after September 11th, 2001, when Muslims hijacked airliners, crashed them into the 2 towers at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, where I was that day, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And then his poor auntie she felt uncomfortable riding the subway because people looked at her funny when she wore her hijab. Right? Here's Zohran Mamdani.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City.
Uh-huh. Go ahead. He's being emotional.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt.
She's dead.
Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Yeah. I
want to speak to the Muslim who works for our city. Whether they teach in our schools or walk the beat for the NYPD.
Kill the Jews.
New Yorkers who all make daily sacrifices for the city they call home.
Daily sacrifices.
Only to see their leaders spit in their face.
Their leaders spit in their... Their leaders spit in their face because they're Muslims, you fascist, you Jew killer. No, it just didn't feel safe in her hijab. Mamdani says his auntie-aunt, his aunt, didn't feel safe in her hijab after 9/11. I know a lot of people didn't feel safe in airliners after 9/11. Nobody felt safe in the World Trade Center because it had crashed to the ground and thousands were murdered in the name of the religion of peace. But never mind that. So according to Zohran, the real victim of 9/11 was his auntie, who got some allegedly bad looks. J.D. Vance tweeted out after Zohran Mamdani, whose party wants to free the killer of Jews in Washington, D.C. New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani called U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance's comments about his aunt's fear inappropriate and a cheap joke. Well, your claim about your aunt is a cheap joke, fascist, but in a Saturday interview on MSDNC, this is all the Republican Party has to offer, Mamdani said. And then he firebombed a synagogue full of Jews and he's got an armband on with a crooked cross on it. But that's just completely crazy stuff. Now, he was on MSDNC over the weekend, but let's get to because the Democrats rallied for Mamdani this weekend, including the Democrat governor of the state of New York, Kathy Hochul. And it's it turns out that Mamdani, the jihadi, who loves the killer of Jewish embassy personnel, his political party and beyond, it turns out that you'll never believe this, that Governor Kathy Hochul, the Democrat governor of New York, she knows who the real villains are.
Right now, our city and our state and our country are under attack by Donald Trump and the Republicans in Washington.
And they were passing the bodies of dead Jewish hostages over the heads of the crowd there. That's the Democrat Party. And it's the Republicans. And what it was under attack, it's always such warlike language, isn't it? They're the party of war and belligerence. Then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez showed up. She was in a bikini and dancing around doing a little hula. And she was there to support Zohran Mamdani. And again, she is one of the people of the Social Democrats, the Socialist Democratic Party, who are demanding the release of the political prisoner who murdered two Israeli embassy personnel. They love Elias Rodriguez. They also love the man that murdered Charlie Kirk, assassinated him, Tyler Robinson. He's in court later today. Democrats will be there to cheer him. Luigi Mangione, who murdered the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, another hero of the Democrat Party. Here's AOC.
The very forces that Zohran is up against in this race mirrors what we are up against nationally. Both an authoritarian, criminal presidency fueled by corruption and bigotry.
It's authoritarian. It's a criminal presidency and fueled by corruption and what else? And what? Bigotry. And as they call for the extermination of the state of Israel, they accuse other people of being bigots, of being fascists, of being Nazis, and then they start chanting, kill all the Jews, and celebrating a Democrat that actually murders Israeli embassy personnel. No sense of irony. They use the words, but they don't know what the words mean. There's more of them coming up, too. You know, the big wireless telephone, your cell phone companies, they've been pulling one over on all of us for a long, long time. It's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. Listen, I did, and I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide, big wireless coverage, same towers, same transmitters, same networks, without the big wireless costs at the end of every month. It's not just about saving money on my bill every month, although that's real good. It's also about not being used and abused by your own cell phone company, your carrier. Do you have any idea how much data you use every month? Probably not. Most people don't have any idea how much data they use. I don't. Most people over 50 use less than 8 gigs of data in any given month, but if you're 19 years old, you might use 10 times that much data. And the big cell phone companies, they shove everybody into an unlimited data plan because they need to redistribute your payments to cover the payments of other people that use a lot more data than you use. So if you're not using all that data, you are the one being used and abused. When you've had enough of that, make the switch to Consumer Cellular. They set me up with a service and a phone. It's very easy to make the switch. You talk to an actual human being, not a robot. That person is based right here in the United States, not on a space station. Real human beings that are actually helpful. It's only going to take you about 20 minutes to make the switch, so give them a call today and make the switch. You'll be glad you did. Every month, call 800-760-0702. That's 800-760-0702. Yes, sir. All right. The Democrats, they're not on the side of civilization. They're not liberals. They're the left. And why do they all love murderers the way that they do? Yes, the Democrat Party. They're not as much fun as they used to be. Let's go to the telephones again, Michael. And I've got, wait till you hear this. Turns out his whole story about his aunt is a lie, a fabricated lie. He's a lie in Sacagawea, and on MS-13 DNC over the weekend, they fluffed him over his lie rather than correcting him because they're as corrupt as he is. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to John, calling from the great city of Chicago, listening on the great WLS. John, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, good morning.
Hey, John.
You're doing great. You're doing great work.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, I'm calling this morning because you were talking about the people that Zohran wants to free and the Democrats want to free. And I just wanted to try to refocus a little bit back on the Holy Land Foundation trial. In 2008, 5 men were convicted of providing financial support to Hamas. It was proven in federal court that they were connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. And then Obama became president and immediately shut down the investigation into the co-conspirators, which include CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, and a few other 4-letter Muslim groups in this country.
Yep.
And, these people, you're a student of history. You probably know all this.
I do. Yeah, CARE.
Yeah.
Soft jihad. The soft jihad is being waged by groups like CARE. And the Holy Land Foundation. And Mamdani was fighting to free. The left always wants to free everybody that's in prison for murdering people, usually. And, the Holy Land Foundation and the Holy Land Five. And Mamdani's on their side, and they're supporters of Hamas, right?
Right.
Right.
And the thing is that back then, they caught these guys having secret meetings in hotels.
Yeah, no problem for the Dems. All right, Zohran Mamdani may self-immolate at any moment. Now, I played the audio soundbite for you, but I want to play it for you again. I want to provide a little context that I think will make it more enjoyable for you. Here's the headline from Town Hall, from the wonderful people at Town Hall, and Amy Curtis. Amy Curtis. The headline is, Zohran Mamdani's sob story about his aunt being the real victim of 9/11 just fell apart. Isn't that wonderful? And Amy Curtis at Town Hall has the story. Zohran Mamdani's fed New Yorkers a sob story about his aunt, C, S-E-E, in the days after 9/11. See, C, in the days after 9/11, she, a faithful hijab-wearing Muslim woman, didn't feel safe on the subways in New York City because New Yorkers who just watched 3,000 of their friends, loved ones, and neighbors die at the hands of Islamic terrorists said some mean things to her. Mamdani made it very clear that the New York Muslim community, and not the dead Americans who worked at the World Trade Center, were the real victims that terrible day, except it was a lie. It turns out Mamdani's aunt, A, didn't wear a hijab. See, this is a thing. She didn't wear a hijab as a matter of practice, and B, didn't live in New York City in 2001. She was living in Tanzania. That's a country in Africa. And here's a picture of her, and people have social media posts. Zohran Mamdani's aunt neither wears a hijab, nor did she live in New York City before, during, or after 9/11. In fact, she lived in Tanzania from January of 2020 until December of 2003. In fairness, few of us have been to Tanzania. Maybe they have a really nice public transportation infrastructure that they don't want us to know about. But here is what Zohran Mamdani said, and it's a fabrication, it's a lie, but it's designed to villainize, to demonize the people of New York City that ride the subways in New York City, because they're so mean that this poor jihadi woman had somebody look at her funny decades ago, and he's still choked up about it.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City.
Go ahead. Clear your throat first.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt.
He always chokes up when he's lying. He's really
who
struggling.
Stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
A homeless person should have thrown her in front of a moving train, an insane drug addict that you people let loose on the street. This is just great stuff here. Now, the J Feed has the headline, Zohran Mamdani's hijab aunt hoax exposed. New Yorkers deserve better than a chameleon con artist who'd sell his own family's truth for a ballot box bump. Mamdani isn't just out of touch. He's a menace, peddling division and delusion while the city grapples with real crises, skyrocketing crime, migrant mayhem, and a budget black hole. If this is the progressive future, count us out. Gila Isaacson writing at JFeed. Isn't it great? In a bombshell that reeks of desperation and deceit, Democratic Socialist darling Zohran Mamdani's tear-soaked bid for sympathy has imploded faster than one of his pie-in-the-sky rent-free fantasies. He thought he'd tug at Muslim voters' heartstrings with a personal 9/11 anecdote. But his lies became clear. His hijab-wearing aunt, who supposedly ditched New York City's subways out of post-attack fear, she was neither veiled nor in the Big Apple. She was halfway across the world in Tanzania, sipping chai and dodging nothing more traumatic than East African bureaucracy. So isn't this amazing? And then he told the story about all the terrible New Yorkers, were spitting on what this was happening. This guy is just a psychotic, mentally ill, jihadi, genocidal, Jew-hating, America-hating, anti-capitalist, communist. He's a Democrat, and he does represent the Democrat Party perfectly.
I want to speak to the Muslim who works for our city, whether they teach in our schools or walk the beat for the NYPD. New Yorkers who all make daily sacrifices for the city they call home, only to see their leaders spit in their face.
Their leaders spit in their face. Every filthy, stinking criminal leader in New York is a Democrat, just by the way, except for the ones that are socialists. And the Democrats and the socialists are spitting in the faces of the poor, long-suffering Muslims who only crash hijacked airlines into skyscrapers every now and then and take hostages and put them in tunnels in Gaza and rape and torture them to death and then keep their dead bodies and then murder more people to give back to the Israelis, claiming that they were hostages when they're not. They're just other people that were murdered in the name of Islam. But never mind all that. So he made these outrageous and false claims. And X, also known as Twitter, erupted like a powder keg. Honestly, Zohran Mamdani, her aunt, neither wears her hijab nor lived in New York City during, or after 9/11. In fact, she lived in Tanzania. And this is being posted on X which isn't being censored anymore because the Democrat Party doesn't control it anymore. When they did control it, they censored everything that they could, like the fascists that they are. And the headlines are now everywhere. It's been revealed that the aunt Zohran Mamdani shed tears for didn't exist, at least in the way that he described here. Didn't stop riding the subway after 9/11 because she didn't feel safe wearing her hijab. She neither wore a hijab nor lived in or near New York City at the time. She lived in Africa. The headlines are everywhere. But because all the Democrats out there spitting in the faces of Muslims all over New York, I know because Zohran Mamdani told me, and he's a jihadi, and we should put him on a Venezuelan drug boat. Say, hey, we're going to teach you water skiing now. It's the latest jihadi pastime. But what's his name? James Carville, the Ragin' Cajun. It's not the only Ragin' he is, but the Ragin' Cajun, James Carville. He posted a video of himself, and listen to this, the hardships that people face. But he's calling for all Republican voters, 77 million Republican voters, to be treated as the Nazis in France were after America crushed, and the British crushed the Nazi menace, the Socialist Workers' Party that had invaded France and taken over France and Vichy France, and they turned over all their Jews to the Nazis for extermination. But never mind that right now. But at the end of World War II, the Nazi collaborators were dressed up in orange, like prison garb. They had their heads forcibly shaved by the French, loyal French, and it was common to put the collaborators in crowds and shackles and march them through the center of Paris or the center of town, wherever you were, so all the townspeople could spit on them. And here is James Carville's declaration of war against America.
You know what we do with collaborators,
right?
And my fantasy.
Somebody says right.
Dream.
What?
Is that this nightmare ends?
This fantasy dream
in 2029.
2029.
I think we ought to have radical thing. I think they all ought to have their heads shaven. They should be put in orange pajamas, and it should be marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, and the public should be invited to spit on them. All of these collaborators should be shaved, pajamaed, and spit on.
And that's again a Nazi thing from the demented, mentally ill fascist whose party torches Jews, assassinates Jews, celebrates assassins of Jews at Jewish museums in Washington, D.C. Isn't that wonderful? And the left-wing media loves this. James Carville fantasizes about Trump collaborators. They put collaborators. They're called voters, fascists. They're the party of the first American Civil War. And I'm beginning to think that, like the jihadis are still carrying on the Crusades, I'm beginning to think the Democrats are still lost in the first American Civil War that they created. James Carville fantasizes about Trump collaborators being shaved, dressed in orange pajamas, and spit on by the public after 2028. James Carville, I got to tell you, you should go into hiding. You should leave the country and never come back. So the left-wing media, James Carville, revealed his fantasy of having collaborators, as he calls Trump voters, publicly shamed and spat on after the Republicans leave office. Who says Republicans are leaving office? Fascist, you cross-dressing Nazi. Carville detailed his dream, as he called it, during Politics War Room podcast. There's that war room again. See, everything is about war. It's the pointy end of the spear. It's prisoners of war. It's these people are dangerous fascists. And this is not the fringe of the Democrat Party. This is 100% up the middle mainstream Democrat Party. This is the Bill Clinton era creepy. He's got to be a sexual deviant just looking at him. James Carville. How many times has he been to Epstein Island? He's never been asked because when you're a Democrat. Yeah, Carville detailed on this war room with Al Hunt, who's married to Judy Driftwood. Judy Driftwood is his wife, Al Hunt. Accused the administration of forcing control. Well, they want to control higher education when we know that's the job of the left, where they teach fascism and anti-Semitism, genocidal anti-Israelism, anti-Zionism, and this is what they teach. Man, oh man, oh man. Isn't that amazing? There it is. Yes, sir. Seven of 9 universities, they continue, offered more federal money if they agreed to various Trump policies. You mean like not teaching genocidal anti-Semitism, including pledging to shut down institutional units that purposefully punish, belittle, even spark violence against conservative ideas. And they edit out Jewish ideas and Jewish people, students and professors and Israelis. Man, oh man, oh man. Carville argued that agreeing to the Trump proposal is short-sighted and makes schools collaborators of the president. So we're going to have to shave the heads of the university people and spit on them, too. These people are really dangerous. They're dangerous criminals. James Carville was not always a dangerous criminal, but he goes where the party goes, and this is where the party has gone. He makes millions and millions of dollars off of I know where he lives over in Alexandria, Virginia, multi-million-dollar, multi-story townhouse where only multi-millionaires live. Isn't that all fine? Isn't that great? And what are the Democrats doing? Well, they're praising Zohran Mamdani, aren't they? Now, we hadn't gotten to number 3, to AOC, right? We didn't. We played AOC, but not Bernie. I'm sorry. We did play AOC, but we didn't play. See, she's a member of the Democratic Socialist Party, and so is Bernie Sanders, who honeymooned in the Soviet Union, where they murdered 30 million people, of their own people. That's not even during the war, where they sacrificed 25 million of their own people by throwing them into their phalanx. Here's Bernie Sanders. He was out there supporting Zohran Mamdani over the weekend. Zohran would throw him into a wood chipper.
People want to know the answer to one very simple question.
What is it, Bernie?
Is it possible for ordinary people, for working class people, to come together and defeat those oligarchs?
Wow! Working class people defeat the oligarchs. Again, they're a lynch mob. They're going to be burning the city down before they're done. That's Bernie Sanders. Zohran Mamdani then showed up at his own. And again, this was a big, you heard it, big rally of Nazis. It was like Munich in 1933. And Bernie is he's like a traitorous Jew playing the violins at the gates to Auschwitz. He's not on the side of civilization. And then Zohran Mamdani himself took the stage. And you got AOC, you got some of the other jihadis. Zohran Mamdani.
Let our words ring out so loud tonight that Andrew Cuomo can hear them in his $8,000 a month apartment.
He's got an $8,000 a month apartment.
Let them ring so loud so that he can hear us even if he's in Westchester this evening.
He's in Westchester this evening.
Let them ring so loud that his puppet master in the White House hears us. New York is not for sale.
I'm sorry, his puppet master is Donald Trump. He's a lifelong Democrat from a generations-old Democrat family. His father was the Democrat governor of the state. He was the Democrat governor of the state. And listen to the violent mob of rabble out there. Aren't they amazing? And again, while Zohran Mamdani's party, the Democratic Socialists of America, are demanding the release of the political prisoner, Elias Rodriguez, who assassinated 2 Israeli embassy personnel after leaving a party at a Jewish museum in Washington, D.C. And his party is demanding the release of that assassin, Elias Rodriguez, calling him a political prisoner. The Democrat Party is going to be goose-stepping with armbands on before you know it. Isn't that amazing? Uh-oh, look what I did. This party, I grew up in a Democrat Party household. My late mother is posthumously ashamed of this party. This is a disgraced former American party. They're a warlike party. They're a belligerent party. They're a party that's shooting people, assassinating people in the name of their politics, in the name of their anti-Semitism. And they turn the anti-Semitic assassins into heroes. of the Democratic Socialist Party, which is Bernie Sanders' party, AOC's party, and it's Zohran Mamdani's party. Well, several of our brilliant listeners called in and spoke to Jasmine and said, hey, Chris, you're not talking about James Carville's wife, Mary Matalin, who was a longtime Republican political operative. I guess going to have to shave her head and spit on her as she's dragged in chains up Pennsylvania Avenue by the mob of Confederates who are also jihadis. But a great point from our listeners calling in, and thank you for that, to talk to Jasmine. And Jasmine says, hey, Chris, how come you're leaving this out? What, are you stupid or something? So she straightened me out, and I thank you for the calls. Yeah, James Carville fantasized about Trump collaborators being shaved, dressed in orange pajamas, and spit on. So I guess maybe he ties up his wife at home and spits on her when she's in her pajamas. Maybe they are Democrats after all. A little bit kinky. Scratch a little bit. All right, let's get to another phone call, Michael. Let's go to Sid. Let's go to Sid calling from Los Angeles, the once great city of Los Angeles. Sid, baby, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey.
Just was wondering, no one asked Zohran Mamdani about his view of the attack on September 11th. Was he upset or in favor of it? If he's worried about his aunt, was he worried about the New Yorkers who were killed? Does he have any thought about that? Does he make a comment about the attack?
Well, the only comments I have from Mamdani about September 11th have to do with how awful New Yorkers are, because New Yorkers were mean to his aunt, who would ride the subway in New York after September 11th wearing her hijab, except he lied about all of it. He probably doesn't have an aunt, but apparently he does have an aunt, and she lived in Africa and never wore the hijab. But that is, as far as I can tell, Sid, his take on September 11th. What do you make of that?
No one asked him that question, It's just amazing that they just let him cry. It was the fakest tears I've ever seen.
It is good to be a Democrat.